Hey, what's poppin', everybody? I am back. Yesterday, took the day off. I posted on Instagram. My fiance is a little bit sick right now. Not even a little bit. She's really sick right now. So I needed to take care of her yesterday. Needed to take care of Miles, make sure that she didn't get Miles sick because she was taking care of him and stuff like that. Took the day off completely yesterday. Had to call out from work and stuff like that. So just completely took the day off yesterday. Didn't post any slips. Didn't do any research. Nothing. I just took care of her from sunrise, sundown yesterday. So didn't do nothing yesterday. So let's go ahead and recap on the 25th, which was the last time we did do something. That day we did end up going 1 and 2 on the video picks, which we'll go ahead and talk about the video picks, which was the lock of the day, Brandon Ingram. We'll talk about it. Brandon Ingram got hurt in the second quarter right at the end, or right before half ended. He only had 11 at that point, points and assists, and the Grizzlies came out firing. They came out red hot. I think they had like a 44-point first quarter. So if we're being honest, he probably wasn't going to hit his total anyways because they got blown out. But Brandon Ingram did get injured, so he had no chance to hit his total. Did Brandon Ingram? Sabonis got to 10 rebounds, so just falls a little bit short. Was looking really good for the majority of the game. Then Boston started just hitting shots late, so he just didn't get any chances to get rebounds. So only gets to 10, doesn't quite get there for us. And our lone hit was Nikola Vucevic over 11.5 rebounds versus the Thunder. He ended up getting 13, so he ended up hitting for us. The Nikola Vucevic being our only hit from the video that day. Then I did do a 5 slip on Instagram. I threw that up, adding just a couple more picks. I ended up adding Royce O'Neal over 4.0 assists. Had 3 in like the first quarter, I think, and then didn't get one the rest of the game. And then Trae Young over 10 assists was the other ad I had. I decided to do Trae Young over his assists. He took on the Rockets. That pick nearly made the video, but it just didn't quite make it. He had 5 assists in that game. He took on the Houston Rockets, who gave up the most assists in the NBA starting point guards, and it's by a mile. It's by like 2 or 3 assists. Ends up only getting 5, but has 44 points. Thought about the points and assists, but I honestly didn't think he'd score the points because I thought it would be a blowout. But I thought he would get the assist. Didn't get there, and then I did Ja over 29.5 points. Ends up only getting to 23 thanks to the blowout, and it was they blew out the Pelicans, and it was in part to like everybody. Everybody was playing well, so he ends up getting to only to 23 points, and that one didn't need to score much more than that for them to get that win. So I did end up throwing that 5 slip as well. We'll take credit for that, put it on the record as well. Take credit for that all the way. So that is the recap of the 25th. We are going to do 3 more picks for today. Just a couple of games today, handful, medium amount of games today. Got 3 picks that are pretty solid today, so let's go ahead and hop right into it, guys. Real quick, if you guys are new to Underdog Fantasy, in the link down in the description below, I have a link that takes you straight to the App Store where you can download Underdog Fantasy, because you're going to want to hop in on the action this year. They have added a whole bunch of new features to Underdog Fantasy this year, starting with the brand new insurance feature, okay? This insurance feature is a new thing that has been super requested for the fans and the customers of Underdog Fantasy. Essentially, all you do is you click insurance right here. And if you can see right there, all you have to do is hit 4 of these picks to win, but the value does drop down. So if you turn off the insurance, you do a $10 bet, you obviously get $200. And if you turn on the insurance feature, it drops down a multiplier down to 10. But if you miss one of these picks, say, Jameis Winston gets hurt or something, he doesn't end up throwing 2 touchdown passes. But everybody else hits like Lamar, Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, and Justin Jefferson. All these guys hit. You still hit the slip. You just get it for $100. Just goes down a multiplier, which is a huge feature a lot of people have been asking for, so they received it. Also, they have added second half lines now to games. Obviously, it is on. There is nothing up because there's no NFL second half games, but they have added NFL second half. So just like for the Thursday night game, I'll throw up that clip right here. Thursday night, they dropped all the second half lines for that Thursday night game between the Bills and the Rams. They've added a bunch of new features this year. They're trying to improve to get the app better for you guys. Also, when you sign up, if you use code TAKEMYSHOT, you'll get $100 match, up to $100 match and 100% deposit match on your first time deposit. So if you do that, you can deposit $50 to get an extra $50, $20 to get an extra $20. Whole lot of stuff coming with Underdog Fantasy this year. Make sure you sign up with code TAKEMYSHOT. Now let's get to today's bets. Okay, lock of the day. We'll be coming from the Memphis versus New York game. I think this is the first time he's made it into a video this season. We're going to go ahead and do Ja Morant over 37.5 points and assists today for Ja Morant. Ja Morant will be taking on the New York Knicks today at 5:10 Central Time. He has already played them once this season. They played earlier this year in an overtime close matchup between these two teams. He had 34 and 9 in that game for 43 points and assists this season. Last season, he also had quite a lot of success. He had 23 and 9 for just 32 in that game, so fell just a little bit short. But then in their second matchup a year ago, he did have 37 and 8 for 45. So in his last 3 matchups, he's gone over twice, under once, and he's averaging 40 points and assists versus New York Knicks roster. The Knicks have the second overall worst defense versus point guards in the NBA when you're adding up points, assists, rebounds, threes, everything, and you add it all together, they get the second worst overall defense versus point guards this season. They give up the 9th most assists and the 7th most, or 9th most points and 7th most assists to point guards this season. When you're looking at recent success versus the New York Knicks at point guards this year, Anthony Simons, just that last game, had 43 points and assists. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander hit him for 37 points and assists. Even Cameron Payne had 30 points and assists on them, and then Steph Curry had 34 points and assists. So it's been a lot of success versus this Knicks roster lately. Last I checked, game only sits at a 2.5 point spread. It is in New York, so that also fares for the New York Knicks to keep this game closer. Oh yeah, so only sits at a 2.5 spread at a 226 total. So, right in that middle range as far as a total score, and only sits at a bucket spread. So they anticipate this game to be very close. Knicks have been playing at moments really good basketball, at times really bad basketball. But we will rock with it today. The lock of the day, Ja Morant over 37.5 points and assists as today's lock of the day. All right, next up, we're going to head over to the Minnesota versus the Golden State Warriors game in this one. This one is in Minnesota, which I think has a little bit to do with why the game spread is what it's at. The game spread of this game currently sits at 1.5, so just a bucket and a 236 total. So a very high total and a close anticipated spread means it's in close anticipated game. So I'm liking the two factors of that. Give me Karl-Anthony Towns today over 22.5 points as today's second play today. He's going to be taking on the Warriors, who give up the most points in the NBA across the NBA to power forwards. They give up the number one most amount of points, and they'll be taking on one of the best scoring power forwards in the NBA today, Karl-Anthony Towns. Last year he played the Warriors four times. He went over in 3 of the 4 games. The one game that he did miss, he only scored 17 points and he shot 31% from the field. Coming from a guy that normally shoots around 48% to 50% in the regular season, very well below his average, obviously. He's going to have a bad game or two there. So his 4 games last year versus the Warriors went at 17 points, 26 points, 31 points, and 39 points. So had some very big performances last year versus the Warriors, did Karl-Anthony Towns. They also, the Warriors in general are the second worst overall defense versus power forwards this season. So obviously they very much struggle versus power forwards. I wanted to kind of compare it as well because I thought for some reason he had taken on the Warriors earlier this season, and he hasn't. But he has taken on some other teams that rank very bad against power forwards. When he took on the Cavs, who are the second worst overall defensive power forwards, he had 29 in that one. Also took on the Spurs 3 times this season, and I think the Spurs are the 5th worst defense as far as scoring goes. As the same with the Cavs, are the second worst scoring defense versus centers. The Spurs, I think, rank as the 5th worst defense versus scoring power forwards. He took on the Spurs 3 times this season where he had 26, 21, and 27. So almost hitting all 3 of those games as well. Just missed that one in the middle by a bucket. So he's had a lot of success versus defense that have teams that have the same defensive statistics as the Warriors. So anticipating a big game tonight from Karl-Anthony Towns, and he should easily hit over 22.5 points tonight. All right, and our last play of the day will be an under. Have a little bit of a gut feeling on this one. We're going to go with the under on the unicorn. We're going to go under Kristaps Porzingis, under 30.5 PRA. We're going to take the whole enchilada. Game sits at a 7.5 point spread. Okay, that's when it starts to get a little bit dicey for me, 6 round 8 points. This game is in Boston. The Boston Celtics at home are a different kind of unit against teams this year. They're 8-1 at home, lone loss to the Cleveland Cavaliers. At home this year, in their 8 wins, their winning margin right now on the average is 13-point wins. They're averaging beating their opponents at home in their wins by 13 points. They're also scoring 124 points at home. It's what they're averaging on the season. They lost their last matchups to the Wizards versus Celtics, 112-94. They got blown out of the water, which is exactly what I'm anticipating to happen once again tonight. It is very hard to beat the Celtics team at home, let alone keep it close at home versus the Celtics team. Now, Kristaps in that last game did manage to hit his line barely, by the hook. He had 31 total PRA in that game. I think he had a fair amount of rebounds. I'll double check real quick as I'm looking at it. He did miss in both of his games last year. Last year he took on the Celtics twice, once as a member of the Dallas Mavericks, once as a member of the Washington Wizards. As in his game versus the Wizards, he only had 25 PRA in that one. In the one in his game as a member of the Mavs, he sat there and had 29. So a little bit of a closer game in that one. In his last matchup earlier this season, only played 28 minutes, had 17, 13, and 1. So had 31 PRA in that game, just barely missed. He's probably going to have a fair amount of rebounds again in this one. Expect him to play, right around 28 minutes again. Expect him to not get very much minutes in this one, which I think is going to lead in turn to him not getting very many points. If I'm being 100% honest, I did kind of mess up this pick a little bit. Kristaps, his entire career, has been a power forward, and on his Wizards team, he's a center. And when I was looking at the numbers earlier, I was looking at it from the power forward perspective. So honestly, I think you could even take Kyle Kuzma to have a rough night tonight. Take his whole PRA, take the whole shebang under 32.5 PRA, I think is what Kyle Kuzma's at. But I also think Kristaps Porzingis is going to have a rough night. He's going to get the rebounds. I'm pretty positive he's going to get the rebounds. Obviously, the Celtics are the second worst rebound defense versus centers. I think he'll get the rebounds. Won't get very many assists. Not a guy that really passes the ball around that much. Only had one in their last matchup. And if they can just keep him from hitting his shots, I think we're going to have a pretty solid night tonight. They only give up the 11th most points to the Celtics to centers. Obviously, they give up a lot of rebounds, but the points thing, I think they're really going to contain Kristaps tonight, and this game's going to get way out of hand. He just won't have the court time. So not a whole lot of super solid like numbers and data to back up the Kristaps underplay, but I just have a feeling he's going to go under tonight. So give me Kristaps Porzingis under 30.5 PRA tonight. All right, which is going to make today's perfect three slip only a half unit play today because we did kind of go bigger the last couple of days on some units. So I'm going to go to a half unit play today. Give me John Morant, the lock of the day, over 37.5 points and assists. Karl Anthony Towns, over 22.5 points. And we're going to play Kristaps Porzingis, lower than 30.5 PRA versus this Boston Celtics team as today's perfect three slip. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up today's video. Let's go ahead and get this sweep today. Still have a couple more days here to try to break our channel record for sweeps, which I believe is 5. I'll definitely keep track of it from now on, but I believe it is 5. So really thought it was going to connect on the 25th on Friday. I really loved that play on Friday. It just didn't work out the way I wanted it to, obviously, right? But I'm really loving today's plays. I love them every single day, but I'll say it every single day. I love today's plays. Just trust me on that Porzingis one, man. I know a lot of people don't like to take unders, and especially this one doesn't have a whole lot of data to back it up. I honestly think you'd have a better chance taking Kuzma's under. The reason I did what I did is I kind of am feeling a little bit more momentum. Kristaps hasn't been playing as good lately, and Kyle Kuzma has been playing a lot better lately. This is also the Bradley Beal versus Jason Tatum Celtics game, so I'm kind of looking for Kuzma and Bradley Beal to put up more offensive production than Kristaps will. Obviously, Kristaps' matchup will be Al Horford. He's a average defender. Definitely a guy that can guard Kristaps for sure. But I'm looking for Bradley Beal and Kyle Kuzma to put up more of the offensive load than for Kristaps tonight. He'll get his boards. He's gonna get the rebounds. I'm not too worried about that. But gonna take the under on him. Just trust me on that one. The other two guys I think are gonna slap absolutely. But that is gonna wrap up today's video, guys. So yeah, I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Peace.